What do you call a government that takes £100 million of taxpayer money to house asylum seekers in council properties while 1.33 million British households sit on social housing waiting lists? According to Lee Anderson, you call it a disgrace. And his advice to councils considering participating in the scheme, 3 words: just say no. The Reform UK MP for Ashfield just tore into Labour's latest migration policy in Parliament, calling it a madcap idea that prioritizes illegal migrants over British citizens. The policy is a £100 million pilot scheme where councils acquire and refurbish around 900 properties specifically for asylum seekers. Labour says it's a pragmatic fix to reduce the scandalous reliance on expensive hotels. Critics say it's yet another kick in the teeth the British people who are being treated as second-class citizens in their own country. Welcome back to UK Political Insight, where we break down the migration policies that are tearing Britain apart. Let's dive into this controversy, why it's causing such fury, and whether there's any middle ground or if we're heading for Labour's first major migration backlash of 2026. So here's what's actually happening. The Home Office is funding a £100 million pilot scheme. This money enables councils to acquire and refurbish around 900 properties. Lee Anderson describes them as new builds, but the scheme primarily focuses on purchasing existing stock or renovating derelict units. These properties are specifically for people awaiting asylum decisions, so we're talking about asylum seekers, people who've claimed asylum and are waiting for their applications to be processed. These homes would be leased back to the government initially before eventually integrating into the general social.
Britain is facing a growing political storm after the Labour government unveiled a £100 million scheme to house asylum seekers in council properties while more than 1.33 million British households remain stuck on social housing waiting lists, a move Reform UK MP Lee Anderson has branded a disgrace. Speaking in Parliament, Anderson urged councils to reject the plan outright with a blunt 3-word message: just say no. Arguing that the policy rewards illegal channel crossings and puts migrants ahead of British citizens. The pilot scheme would see around 900 properties purchased or refurbished to house asylum seekers while their claims are processed, with the government insisting it is a cost-effective alternative to spending billions on hotel accommodation. Ministers argue the plan will reduce long-term costs, end profiteering by private contractors, and eventually add homes back into the general housing stock. But critics say the policy deepens public anger by forcing taxpayers to fund housing for people who entered the country illegally while locals wait years, sometimes decades, for a council home. Anderson accused Labour of treating British citizens as second class in their own country, warning that scarce housing is becoming a zero-sum battle between locals and migrants. While the government stresses the legal distinction between asylum seekers and illegal migrants, that nuance is largely lost on the public, where perception has hardened into political reality, and that reality could trigger Labour's first major migration backlash of 2026.